My Nick says,
right.
Wait, Scott Bessent is gay?
He is.
And married?
Yes.
And has children.
Yes, he does.
Yesterday, when I brought this up, if he's confirmed, would be the highest ranking LGBT person ever to be appointed and confirmed by the United States Senate. And I said,
right.
I'm kind of conflicted about it. It's Trump. I'm kind of conflicted about this.
MSNBC anchor Jonathan Capehart seems to be struggling over the fact that on one hand, he absolutely wants to hate Donald Trump and everything that he does. But on the other hand, Trump did just nominate an openly gay guy to serve as Treasury Secretary in his upcoming administration.
Wow, okay, identity politics box checked. Great, hand the country over to a corporate robber baron because he's gay and has kids just like Jonathan Capehart.
No, this is insane.
Check identity politics. Oh, Trump, you know what? There were people giving us crap for supporting Trump's labor secretary, right?
Because she actually supports labor and voted in favor and co-sponsored the PRO Act. So it's about her character and what she represents.
No, Anna, we're going about it all the wrong way.
Okay, which way are we supposed to go?
Okay, so we should take Capehart's cue on this. Remember, the labor secretary nominee is Representative Lori Chavez DeRemer, Latina.
Woman.
Okay, woman. Check. Okay, we win.
That's all that matters.
We win. That's it. You have to support her for labor secretary. But almost all of cable news won't, because all of corporate interests and Chamber of Commerce are not in favor of her because she's actually pro-labor, but they are very much in favor of the candidate that Capehart's talking about. Because he is a robber baron. And in that segment, I don't know if we have that portion of the clip.
Yes, we do.
Okay,
so let me. No, hold on, Jake. Hold on.
Okay, she's leading. Go ahead.
We're gonna get to who the Treasury Secretary pick is, because look, I don't care about his identity at all, to be honest with you. Lovely that he's openly gay. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But what I care more about is what he represents and what he wants to do with that position should he get confirmed. And based on who he is, it's very likely he will get confirmed easily. Now, with that in mind, later in the segment, Capehart, who's openly gay himself, he was referencing, by the way, his own husband, Nick Schmit, and how he was even feeling conflicted because, it's Trump, but his Treasury Secretary pick is openly gay, and I kind of like that. That's exciting. Anyway, let's get to what the guest on the show had to say about this pick, because this is a Democratic strategist, and I thought what he had to say here was just amazing. Let's take a look.
Look, I think in that case, credit where it's due. I think we expect the markets to shoot up when they open in Asia here in a little bit. I think Wall Street likes the guy. It is very interesting that, yes, it is Trump and not one of our team who made that historic nomination.
That's your critique? That Democrats didn't pick an openly gay guy who's a hedge fund manager and who's totally in favor of corporatist policies that ordinary Americans hate? That's your critique, that Democrats didn't pick someone like him. But Cenk, he's a Democratic strategist. These are the guys who are giving Democratic candidates advice.
Yeah.
And they take that advice, they gobble it up, they drink the milkshake, they drink it up.
They do indeed. I have one other identity politics thing we're gonna do. You guys are gonna love it, okay? But first, let me tell you more about Bessent.
Identity politics has made people dumber in this country. Like what Capehart said there, dumb. He sounded dumb because he's not doing analysis about the policies that this Treasury Secretary pick supports. He doesn't care about that at all.
Nah, let's be honest, he loves it. He loves the pro-corporate, pro-establishment.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Wall
You're
Street
right.
stock,
You're right.
Wall Street going up. They all love it. So they're
be honest about that.
Yeah, and at MSNBC, they're trying to find a reason to support the corporate goon he's picking as Treasury Secretary. So they've found one. If you want to find a reason to be against someone, you dig and dig and dig until you find usually a sex scandal. Okay, but some sort of thing about their personal life.
Right.
If you like their pick and think, oh, this guy's gonna help rob the country blind in favor of Wall Street. Oh, did you know that he's gay and has children? So now all the Trump appointees that have children were in favor of? Is that a thing?
I didn't know that was a new identity, box to check off as a big win. But like, can we talk a little bit about who this guy is, Bessent? Okay.
Yeah.
So Scott Bessent is a hedge fund guy, former hedge fund manager who actually has some pretty close ties to George Soros.
Yep.
So what's interesting is a lot of Trump supporters are not in favor of this pick. But nonetheless, as the New York Times writes, Trump's selection caps an extraordinary career arc for an investor who was once a protege of the liberal billionaire philanthropist George Soros and who gave money to top Democrats, including Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, and Barack Obama, a who's who of, corporate Democrats for sure. He was a big time donor for the Democratic Party in the past. In fact, he was a big supporter of Al Gore back in 2000 when he ran for president. But he has since kind of switched parties to some extent. As Trump's secretary, he will push Congress to carry out Trump's tax cuts and call back some of these federal regulations. He's the son of a real estate developer who experienced several of his own financial booms and busts. He went to Yale University, where he was class treasurer in college. Bessent reflected on the challenges of being a Southerner in New England, writing in the paper in 1981 that, quote, I was the only one in the dorm who was heartbroken when George Wallace decided not to run for president. For those of you unfamiliar with George Wallace, he was well known as someone who was against desegregation. In fact, he was quoted as saying, segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever.
Jonathan, you might want to rethink that checkbox of yours. That one's not going to help your family. Okay. Now, look, I grant that was in his past. So, and look, there's a lot of terrible things in both Republicans and Democrats past. What I care more about is today, right? So Anna read you some things from the New York Times. Let me read you some things from CNN. Business leaders say they are relieved. Of course they are, okay? He's a hedge fund executive. So look, business leaders can be relieved on things that make sense. Like, oh, we shouldn't, we should lift the debt ceiling. Otherwise, the whole market's going to collapse. That's true. They're relieved. It's not a bad thing that they're relieved necessarily, but they're exuberant about this. And you could have a good hedge fund executive and still have him be a decent human being and look out for the average person. But Bessent has shown no inclination that he's going to do that.
In fact, he's concerned about the national debt. So fairly recently, he was meeting up with Donald Trump to give him his suggestions for economic policy. Let's go to graphic 5 here. In recent months, Bessent has pitched a 3-3-3 plan that would aim for 3% economic growth or reduce the budget deficit to 3% of gross domestic product and increase domestic oil production by 3 million barrels per day. Now, how exactly do you think he would suggest cutting or reducing the budget deficit to 3% of gross domestic product? It would obviously be by gutting certain social safety net programs that Americans rely on in order to, provide for their families. Something that I'm sure, traditional Republicans are in favor of. But my biggest issue with him is that he is a product of the Wall Street greed that so many Americans, both on the left and right, are sick of because it has gutted their own personal finances. It has led to a system of extreme wealth and income inequality. None of that was talked about. Like that doesn't matter because he's openly gay. I don't care if he's openly gay. Like the fact that this is what's being spewed on what's supposed to be the left-wing cable news network is hilarious to me.
Yeah, and then so back to CNN now. They say that Jamie Dimon is thrilled and thinks it's an excellent pick. Well, then he must be. I mean, Jamie Dimon, the head of JP Morgan Chase, the all Republican and Democratic candidates say they might pick as Treasury Secretary. He has blessed it. So, okay, the bankers are very happy. There's apparently a guy named the CEO, his nickname is the CEO Whisperer. He sounds like a lovely guy. And he says the CEOs have whispered in his ear, we like to pick. So corporate CEOs are super happy. Gee, I wonder how badly we're gonna get robbed. And then finally we get to this sentence near the top of the CNN article. Bessent's pedigree as a global investor who's worked with legendary money managers and a history of supporting both Republicans and Democrats have eased the worries of business leaders and financial markets. So the Uniparty firmly in charge. They get the Treasury Secretary pick, which is the most important pick for them because that's the one that commits the robbery, okay? So all of the culture wars are a distraction while you guys are all getting distracted, including identity politics that Capehart there is so excited about. And while you guys are going, yay, he's gay or she's this or he's that, they're taking all the money out the back door, okay? So that's why they're all ecstatic about this today. And finally, if I'm gonna do the same dumbass identity politics, I would say, you know what? Dr. Oz is the first Turkish American in a major role in American government. And no matter how much I disagree about cutting Medicaid or Medicare or any of his other miracle cures on TV, check. Well, thank God there's finally a Turkish American to represent my community. Okay, this is the dumb identity politics. By the way, both sides play, okay? Yeah. So, and I'm sick of it. Try focusing on policy for the first time in your life if you're willing to be honest about what you actually think.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.